Yeah. Well, good afternoon, everyone. It is just gone 12 o'clock, so I can say good afternoon. My name's Dave Selwyn, and I'm here to host this week's staff brief, and I've got a plethora of stars joining me to talk about a variety of topics, which you can see on the screen. So I've got my partner in crime on the executive corridor, Phil Bolton. Afternoon, Phil.
Afternoon, Dave. Afternoon, everyone.
And joining Phil, I've got Diane Wray, who's a quality governance facilitator. Afternoon, Diane.
Good afternoon.
And I may or may not have Trevor, depending on his IT facilities. Trevor.
You do, but only just. Thank you, David, for saying IT. You seem to have solved it in one fell swoop.
Perfect. And then I've got Anna Smith, who's one of our pharmacists, who's going to help us talk about World Antimicrobial Awareness Week. Afternoon, Anna.
Hi, Dave.
And then
I'll just be doing a very quick run through of what we've been doing throughout the week. Sorry. Yeah.
And then lastly, but not least, I've got, again, one of my compatriots on the exec corridor, Rob Simcox, who's going to be giving us a bit of an update on some of the admin transformation. Afternoon, Rob.
Afternoon, everybody. Thanks for the invite, Dave.
And then finally, I've got from comms, I've got Jess on the decks, who's hopefully keeping us on the straight and narrow. So just a few quick updates from me. So it's the last week, the final week of our National Staff Survey. It ends on Friday. So really important, if I can ask everyone who hasn't had their say to fill in the survey. It takes about 7 minutes. It's really quite quick, easy to do. If you haven't got your staff survey, then there's an email that we'll put in the chat for you, but it's sfh-tr.ode inquiries@nhs.net. I think I've said that right. And I think we're currently at about just a shade under 58% or so, with about 3,000 filling out staff surveys. Rob, did you want to just say anything about the staff survey?
Thanks, Dave. A few bits just to share. The first bit, I've said it before and I'll say it again. It's really important that we get the voice of our people. And this is an anonymous way of receiving individuals' thoughts, reflections, opinions. It is anonymous, as I've mentioned, and it's really key that we get as much information as possible around our workforce. Just under 58% in regards to a completion rate. That equates to about 3,100 separate voices that we've had of our people. So it's really, really powerful that we get as much as possible. And as Dave said, that opportunity is still available until Friday. So if you haven't already, I'd really encourage it. We've dropped an email in the chat if you're experiencing any problems in being able to do that. And I'm hopeful that we'll achieve the 60% mark ahead of Friday. As I said, really important. And I would encourage anyone listening today, take the opportunity. It takes no more than 10 minutes. Make yourself a cup of coffee or a cup of tea. So yeah, key messages. You've still got time. You've still got time to do this, and I'd encourage it.
Thanks, Rob. And we create a little bit of excitement by challenging the division. So the urgent and emergency care division are currently in the lead with a response rate of over 70%, which is phenomenal, I would say. And there is that divisional competition. There is a star prize that we give for outstanding achievement, encouraging all of that. So just another update around, obviously, you'll have heard us talk about it, and you certainly will have heard me talk about it, about flu and COVID vaccination. So we continue to offer and encourage colleagues to take up the flu vaccination and the COVID vaccination. The clinics are up on the screen as described there. We've got 52.5% of our frontline colleagues, I think, have been vaccinated so far. That's in terms of the flu, and again the division, so it's diagnostics and outpatient division, who I believe are changing their name over the next few weeks actually, but they've got the highest update so far with 51% who've had their vaccination. And we also have peer vaccinators who are out and about and can come onto the wards, and we've got a number of pop-up clinics occurring. They were down in the KTC. I found them near the lifts outside the Faith Centre the other day, but you can stop and have a flu or a COVID vaccine there. Phil, anything you wanted to add about the importance of flu and COVID vaccination? We've still got both flu and COVID in the organisation.
Yeah, very true, Dave. Still seeing patients coming in with both flu and COVID, and still seeing staff and colleagues with it as well. I'm sure many of you will know people in your teams that are still contracting them. So real clear message from both Dave and Rob. We'd really encourage you to get vaccinated, encourage you to get your teams vaccinated, try and provide time for them to go and do that. If you need us to come onto the wards to do it in your area, as Dave says, we can get the roving teams in. Rob and his team have got lots of options available, so speak to us, let us know what you need, and we'll come to you if that's what you need. But yeah, let's get vaccinated.
Brilliant, thank you. And then just a final update, we've got some what we call Meet the Governor events. So because Sherwood is a foundation trust, we have a number of governors who support and help the organisation, and they're out and about in the trust this week, giving you a chance to speak with them, to update any concerns you have, to update about good things, as well as things that you feel that we need to perhaps improve on. So at Kingsmill, we've got a governor who will be in a Meet the Governor stand in the KTC, and that's on Wednesday this week between 9 and 11, and then on Thursday this week between 9 and 11, and then in the afternoon between 1 and 3. And then for colleagues over at Newark, there'll be a governor stand just outside the main outpatients area on Thursday this week between 1 and 3 in the afternoon. So it's just an opportunity to go and talk to them, to update them. They are all really interested in the work that we do. They're all interested in ensuring that the care that we provide is the best possible care that we provide, and they're a rich source of feedback for us at Sherwood. So just encourage you to talk to them. Okay, so that's the sort of updates I was going to give. I'm going to just move us now on to the sort of business, and I've got Phil and Trevor and Diane, who are going to give us a little bit of an update on some of the work that's been going across with the Pathway to Excellence programme. What's been happening with that, Phil?
Thanks, Dave. So you'll be familiar with Pathway to Excellence now, because I think for probably the last 2 years we've been sharing with you at different points what this was all about. You've seen the infographics and the screen pop-ups, so you know we've been working towards this for quite some time. Last week we met with the board of the ANCC, myself and Trevor and Diane, and we received the news that as an organisation, Sherwood has received Pathway to Excellence designation. That means we have achieved accreditation that we were working so hard towards. So that is massive news, and I'm really pleased to be able to share that with you today. What does it mean? I mean, it means we're one of only 4 organisations in the country, I think in Europe actually, who've received this designation. So it's been a 2-year journey. We're an internationally recognised organisation that empowers and engages our staff. I think what's really important to me is this is something that you've led and driven as our workforce. That's why it's so important and means so much to me. There were 6 key standards that we've been working towards. Again, you might be familiar with these: shared decision making, leadership, safety, quality, well-being, professional development, all such pivotal pillars and things that are really important to us as an organisation. So to get that recognition internationally, it's just absolutely fantastic and a huge accolade for the organisation. Our chief nurse, Ruth May, set an ambition that all trusts will work towards accreditation. So for us to already have done that, it's just, I can't say how proud I am and what an achievement it is for the trust. And in a minute, I'll bring in some of the team who've led and driven this, but I just want to mention a few other people who have been pivotal in this. Julie Hogg, our previous chief nurse, this was her vision, her idea. She got us on this path those two years ago. Got Trevor and Diane on the call, Tina Hymers-Taylor, who's now left us, Robin Binks as previous deputy. There's lots of people who no longer here, but it's really important to recognise their part and drive in this. But most importantly, this is about you as our workforce. So that I'm going to pause there. I'm going to let perhaps Trevor say a few words, and then Diane, and then back to Dave, and then I'll perhaps say a bit more. But this is massive for Sherwood. It's such positive news to be a internationally recognised organisation, for an organisation that empowers and looks after its workforce and values a workforce. This is huge for our recruitment, and there's just so much positivity that's going to come from this. Trevor, do you want to perhaps say a few words?
Thank you, Phil. That would be absolutely lovely. Really, I just want to say how proud I am of everybody. It's a true reflection on how people feel about work. And as an individual, I quite like running. And when I finish something, I like to finish strong. And actually, as a trust, we have really finished this well. When you look at it, we haven't just crossed the line, we've absolutely rampaged across it. If you look at the questions that they asked us, over a third of the questions, over 90% of staff responded positively to it. And of 2/3, we responded 80% positively. Clearly, it identifies a couple of areas that we want to keep building on, but actually, overarchingly, it says how engaged you all are as a team to driving those standards. And it was just a huge celebration to see how well and how much engagement you actually put into this. So real big thanks and a huge recognition. It's something you can all be proud of, and we clearly are very proud of you.
Fantastic. And I'm just going to encourage people to put some questions into the chat to maybe ask about the programme or ask the team. But let me just move over to Di and ask you for your reflections on this.
Thank you, Dave. Good afternoon, everyone. So my reflections of this are to echo the comments that Trevor's made, that this is a fabulous accolade for Sherwood Forest. I'm very, very proud of the response rate that we received. So we were required to get 60% of eligible staff, that's nurses and midwives, to complete the survey, and we achieved 81% of staff completed that, which is a fantastic figure. And we were required to achieve a certain percentage of positive responses to those 28 questions that staff answered. And again, we smashed those targets. So we were required to have more than 50% of people answered favourably to every question, and we went well beyond that. And of those numbers, we were required to have 75% agreed 21 or above of those statements, and we achieved 23. So I think that just shows that people actually are aware of the fabulous work around those standards. I'm very proud of the fact that we scored very highly as a trust on things relating to patient and family centred care and shared decision making and safety elements. And I actually quite miss going around with my little trolley with its balloons on and the tea and coffee. It was lovely meeting everyone across the trust and having those engaging conversations, and may they well continue. So congratulations, everyone.
That's brilliant, and I wrote down when Trevor was talking about the response that we smashed it, but you actually said we smashed it, so that's fantastic. So from my point of view, this is just a phenomenal achievement. It really, really is. And would I be right in thinking that engagement up at 81%? That's pretty good for this program, even by the standards of this high bar that we're trying to achieve. Achieving that was phenomenal.
So I think Dave, sorry, Phil.
Carry on, Trevor. I think it's some of the highest that they've ever seen, was what they said. They were themselves overwhelmed, and the feedback from them was that they'd not seen this sort of engagement at that level before. And obviously, I think highly engaged organisation is key, and a bit like the staff survey, it's really important we know what it's like out there, and we hear the truth and honesty. That allows us to improve and take things forward and change things. So really positive.
Did you want to come in, Trevor? Or
only really to echo what Phil says. While they did keep us hanging a little bit on the feedback, it was a little bit like that drum roll moment that brought you up. They were absolutely astounded with the volume of staff that responded to it, especially in an organisation this size. We had 1,159 people took the time to actually complete that questionnaire, and it was quite a chunk of information, but they were really impressed with us and said it spoke volumes about the culture of our organisation when people are willing to share what they think.
And have I got this right? So I think this is a massive statement for us as an organisation to say that actually we focus on quality, we focus on having a clear strategy of where we want to go to. But what do we actually get with this?
There's that huge hesitation of who's going to speak next and not wanting to jump on. It clearly shows leadership there. Phil, do you want me to pick this up, or did you want to jump in?
Carry on, Trevor, and I'll come in.
So the accreditation is something that we can use, and organisations that have achieved it perform significantly better in their recruitment and their retention of staff. It's not just about that accreditation, though. It's a story about actually what we do. It's how we treat our staff, how we work with them. And for us, it's not just a measure of now. This is a business as usual. We now have those measures. We can see where we are. We can continue to build on some of them, but we can absolutely develop others because it's part of that continual improvement. So it's a huge recognition. It's something that we can share with, that will hopefully increase the volume of people that are coming, and actually the way we work with our colleagues and our staff makes it somewhere that you want to stay.
Perfect. And coincidentally, we've got Rob on the call. So just Rob, we need to do a big splash about this, and we need to get this into our recruitment and our retention and all those aspects. Surely this is going to be really important for us.
I couldn't agree with you any more on that, Dave. Phil touched earlier, we're only one of 4, so clearly we're doing something quite unique here at Sherwood, and we need to capitalise on that. Not only as a recruitment opportunity, we do very well here at Sherwood around that attraction agenda, but this this becomes a unique selling point, doesn't it? And we really do need to build on that. But more importantly, it's that bit about retention. I think everyone's described around what Pathway does provide is a marker of our engagement, how we listen, how we connect, and how we engage with our people. So I think it'd be remiss of us not to capitalise on this. We need to be loud and proud about it, to use it in future literature going forward. And colleagues on the call, you've done a sterling job, and just wanted to offer my personal thanks for great leadership around what is a remarkable feat.
Yeah, two years of work, and someone's put something in the chat about it's been an amazing journey, and thank you to all of the wards and departments who engaged with us and shared your stories. And we could not have done it. So I think that's that says it all, doesn't it? That actually this is about everyone pulling together. And just wrapping up this bit, Di, Trevor, and Phil. Anything? What do we do next with this?
Well,
where do we go after this?
Right next, absolutely. The next thing is we're going to ask anyone who's available to come down to the main entrance for 1 o'clock, because we want to take a photo of as many people for our celebrating this as possible. So that's the right now. For a little while, we're just going to celebrate, and then we're going to look at how we embed it, how it becomes part of our practice after this.
Fantastic.
Yeah, this absolutely can't be the end of it. This is the start, and I think it's right to celebrate because you've all put a lot in, and this is a reflection of your hard work. But it's about, as Trevor said, how we embed this and how we build on it. And you'll notice my free branding now that I'm going to put in my background, which allows us to share how proud we are of this achievement, and as chief nurse, how proud I am of you as my workforce. It's a hugely proud moment for me. So massive thank you.
Well, just a real congratulations to everyone involved in this. It is a fantastic achievement. And just while we're on that then, accreditation and those sort of things, I heard a little rumour, Phil and Trevor, that we've got some special visitors in the organisation today. What's all that about?
So we've currently got our CQC colleagues in the organisation doing a planned inspection of maternity services. So they're going to be with us for the next 3 days, certainly on site today, and it's an opportunity for them to visit and review our maternity pathway, speak to staff, speak to parents and users of the service. So if you see them out and about, they've got red lanyards on, feel free to engage with them and talk to them. It's really important that we give our feedback and that we show them, you know, the great work that goes on at Sherwood. So this is planned, it's not triggered by anything of concern. We go around all maternity units across the country, and it will help build a picture of the standard of maternity care across the country. But hugely proud of our maternity services and associated pathways here at Sherwood, as I'm sure you'd agree, Dave.
Yeah, and you know, my understanding is we're not first, we're not last in in this, but as you say, Phil, this isn't triggered. This is a routine inspection as part of the national scrutiny around the maternity program. But of course, it's it's nearly 3 years since we had the CQC in doing their visit, so we would anticipate that we're right for current visits as well. And you know, this is our opportunity to showcase some of the work we do, and it's something about bringing the best version of ourselves and ensuring that CQC see that, because you know, we've got enormous things to be proud of. We've had other visits to the maternity and sort of paediatric pathway relatively recently, haven't we?
Yeah, well, a couple of weeks ago we had the chief nurse Rosa Waddington from the Integrated Care Board, who was hugely impressed and good to show her the pathways. And then probably about 6 weeks ago, we had the Ockenden and regional maternity review teams who came in to review our services. And again, gave really positive feedback, overwhelmed by the culture and the welcome that you gave them and some of the great work that's going on. So I think like most areas, we're used to people coming in and visiting, and I think at Sherwood, I think we're pretty open and welcome that opportunity.
Well, will we take the opportunity to be showing them a feeding pod?
We took them there on the way in.
Oh,
yeah, one pod. Yeah, we met them at the main entrance, and Paula, our director midwifery, took them via there on the way in. So we'll not miss any opportunities, you know.
Perfect. Okay. And Trevor and Diane, anything to say about CQC or anything to add on that?
I think the only thing to say is clearly our staff are really proud. We've shown that through Pathway. We're really good if we can just continue to share that story. It's not something we weren't expecting, so it's an opportunity really to share the good stuff.
I agree. I think from my Pathway visits within the maternity department, it's clear, and it is clear at the moment, they're undergoing a huge amount of challenges in respect of national priorities and reports. But actually, the engagement feedback within the maternity services was excellent, and they were one of the higher achieving areas within the survey. So thank you to them for that, and they'll smash the CQC visit, I'm sure, as they did the engagement with Pathway.
And of course, we recognise the trust is pretty busy at the moment, so I think we're on Opal 4. Maternity have certainly been busy, and I know paediatrics are extremely busy over the weekend. But we're also rolling out big digital program in maternity at the same time, so it's an opportunity for the CQC to see that we still have to have a hospital and run a hospital and all those aspects. So we've got Badgernet, I think, going live in the actual delivery areas over the next few days. Okay, I'm going to move us on if that's all right. Just encourage you to ask questions in the chat. I'm going to move us on to Anna and just to discuss World Antimicrobial Awareness Week. What's all this about, Anna?
So it's a bit of a mouthful. It's an initiative run by the World Health Organization every year, and it's just an opportunity to sort of engage with our staff within the organisation and patients as well, and just really get people talking about antimicrobial stewardship, because antimicrobial resistance does pose a big sort of public health threat, especially going forward into the years ahead. But you know, it's causing problems now for patients as we speak, so it's important stuff. World Antimicrobial Awareness Week it's the 18th to the 24th of November, so we're sort of getting towards the end of it now. But I just wanted to share some of the things that we've done, myself and some of the trainee pharmacists, trainee pharmacy technicians, and other people within the trust have been doing this week, just to sort of spread awareness, really. So last Friday, I believe it was, which was the first day of the week, we had a stall in the KTC. Thank you everyone who came down. Dave, yeah, and Phil as well came down. And yeah, really appreciate the support with that. We took some sort of photos for social media. We spoke to loads of patients, actually, you know, who were going to the clinics and were just interested in what we were doing. We spoke to them about antimicrobial stewardship and what that means to them, which was really good to do. On Thursday, which is the last day of the week, on the 24th, we're actually turning the lights on the front of the hospital blue, because that is the colour of that's sort of been set for World Antibiotic Awareness Week. So we're going to do that and do like a bit of a social media sort of post about that, and I believe other trusts in the area are doing the same thing, but I can't vouch for that. But yeah, we're going to do it, and hopefully it'll start some conversations. In terms of internally, the microbiology team, myself, the consultant microbiologist, we're trying to move towards actually reviewing more patients on ward, speaking towards staff, speaking to the medical teams, because I feel like it's really important, and it's sort of lagged behind really, because they stopped doing that when COVID started, and you know, we saw our workload increase, and we just weren't able to go to see every patient. But we're really trying to move back to doing that where we can and where it's needed. We're doing an antibiotic amnesty as well, so you might see some of the trainee technicians out on the wards. We're auditing restricted antibiotics, which these are antibiotics that should only be started on the advice of a consultant microbiologist, and we're auditing where we find them on wards that they're labelled for patients that have left the hospital. So we shouldn't really be having these restricted antibiotics lying around, because it means that they can be started without a sort of, you know, being okayed by micro, really. So we're doing that. We've not removed them from the ward yet, because we need to obviously make sure it's safe, make sure that nobody else on the ward is using them first. But it's quite interesting data, actually. A lot more places have these restricted antibiotics than I thought, so that's been quite interesting. And then we've done a lot of things on social media. We've changed screensavers on computers, and the comms team have been absolutely amazing, just really, really helpful, really responsive. So thank you to them for all their help. Dave mentioned, actually, just before the meeting started, that one of the consultant microbiologists, Shrikant Ambalkar, one of our microbiologists, was speaking at a national conference recently about antimicrobial stewardship. So it's just great that our trust has that sort of visibility, and our microbiologists are, you know, really engaged, really wanting to make a difference, and really pushing for antimicrobial stewardship at a national level. So that's all I wanted to say, really. If anyone's got any questions, please feel free to contact me or ask them now.
That's brilliant, Anna.
Thank you.
Brilliant, thank you, Anna. That was and certainly Shrikant was lecturing down at the Excel, 4,000 odd delegates in a conference down there, so it was great to get the word out there. So from my point of view, just being sort of, you know, depressingly medical, sort of this is absolutely key to us, because as antibiotics get used more and more and more, then resistance goes up and they no longer become useful, and we have to turn to even more expensive antibiotics, or some of the older antibiotics that have more toxic side effects. And our ability to fight infection is decreasing because of the overuse of antibiotics, and some of this is within the, you know, obviously our world, but also within the animal world as well. And so, you know, the phrase of this is antimicrobial stewardship, which is basically about doing the right thing for our patients. It's a component of good medical practice or good care. And so, you know, reviewing whether you need antibiotics. If you start antibiotics, checking at day 3 that actually you still need them, or what the sensitivities are to any specimens you sent. Whether you can downregulate from broad spectrum to more narrow spectrum. All of those are components of what we should be doing for all of our patients, and it's just reminding everyone about this. And we saw a massive increase, particularly in community antibiotic use during COVID, and of course that's because lots of people in effect sort of were felt to have infections out in the community, and our primary care colleagues were seeing people remotely, and the easy response to that was to give people courses of antibiotics. So we did see a massive increase in community use of COVID during COVID, and one of the things that we see associated with antibiotic use is what antibiotics can do as a side effect is they can eradicate your normal beneficial gut bacteria, and as a result of that you then get overgrowth of non-normal or harmful gut bacteria. And so antibiotic usage is associated with C. difficile outbreaks and instances, and again we can link our antimicrobial use and our C. diff rate. I don't know, Anna, is that a technical question for you, or do you want to come into that, or I might ask Phil a bit about that?
So at our trust, so in terms of actually linking our antimicrobial stewardship with C. diff, I don't do that currently. I'm not saying it couldn't be done. I've been to quite recently a conference where they have done that, and they've quite clearly demonstrated that good antimicrobial stewardship is very much associated with reduced C. diff outbreaks. So yeah, it's a really interesting point, and definitely a very important reason why we need to be pushing for better antimicrobial stewardship. But in terms of our data here, I don't have that data. Yeah.
Okay. Phil, I don't know if you wanted to come in about that. Certainly, we've seen some high levels of C. diff in the recent past.
Yes, it certainly forms part of all the reviews we do, Dave. If we have a case of C. difficile, a key part of that RCA process is looking at the antibiotic prescribing. And as Anna says, was it appropriate? Was it for the right length of time? Was it the right drug? And I think what we have noticed is that we're really pretty pleased and confident that our processes are robust. That probably wasn't the case some years ago, but it's certainly something that we always consider. And if there is any learning or anything we need to do differently, then we take that back.
And the bit that we always forget, Anna, is that people talk about antibiotics and you imagine they're just, you know, normal and all those aspects, but actually some of the newer antibiotics that we have to use come in at hundreds of pounds a day, some of them even thousands of pounds a day. So a course of antibiotics for a patient, you know, can run into many thousands of pounds and has significant implications for us as an organization.
Yeah, and these newer, I say newer in inverted commas, because a lot of these new antibiotics that are coming out are just really old ones that they've just put a something else with them to help them work better. So, you know, we're a long way off getting loads of new antibiotics to help us fight resistance. So we're really in a bit of a sticky situation if we like misuse current antibiotics to the point that they no longer work.
Okay, so I've clearly gone off piece because nobody's asking any questions whatsoever. Yeah. So I'm going to stimulate everyone to ask non-medical questions. Thank you for that, and it was great for Phil and I to come down to KTC, say hello to the team, and we made a pledge, didn't we, to get better antimicrobial stewardship, and to really try and embed that as I say, as part of our normal business. Okay, I'm going to move us on to the last topic that we were going to touch on today, which is a sort of I don't know, slightly interesting topic, admin transformation program, and Rob's come to talk about that. What's all that about, Rob?
Thanks, Dave. There's a few bits I wanted to share with everyone. What I'm keen to get across is how important this workforce is at Sherwood, how important these people are at Sherwood, particularly around supporting whether that's direct or indirect patient care. So back in the summer, I became the executive lead for the admin and clerical workforce, something I'm incredibly proud of. So it's a staff group I belong to, and I started my journey at an entry-level role in regards to the profession, and really keen that we start to showcase where you know, how valuable the contributions of our admin workforce are. So we started something in the summer, and what I've wanted to do to Dave is come again and just describe some of the progress we've made since the onset of the programme. So the first slide that I've got just shares a bit of what I'd describe as what we've achieved in the first few months of the programme taking place. So if you could move on to the next slide, Jess, that'd be great. So I'd describe it, we've done some of the heavy lifting work since the summer. Excuse me. And that heavy lifting work is around having programmes of work, having key relationships in some of the conversations, and started to describe some of the things that we actually want to do and achieve. A big part of this has been communications, and I'm keen to ensure that we regularly get key messages across to this workforce in regards to A, how important they are, B, that they have the appropriate equipment and environment to operate within, and we ensure that processes, practices are as streamlined as possible. And we've been able to do some of that in the first few months of the programme taking place. And the next slide, if you just mind moving on to it, just provide some of the achievements we've done to date. So I won't bore you all with the detail because I think you can read that on the slide, but there's been some good stuff done. One of the things I've been very acutely aware of since taking on the programme is we sometimes aren't particularly clear about what we asked of our administrative colleagues in regards to tasks, duties, particularly when we've got new roles, when we're advertising posts. So we've refined some job descriptions, we've introduced a tailored advert, and we've had some real successes in regards to attracting new administrative colleagues into the workplace. And I'm also really keen to support some of that retention agenda that we touched on earlier around pathway and how important it is that colleagues within this profession have a sense of belonging. And a big part of that is the environment that people work within and the equipment that they have. And I think it's fair to say my initial assessment is there's some pockets of really good practice, but there's some pockets where we need to do more. And the final slide to share is what we plan to do next. So we've learned a lot over the last few months, around ensuring that we have the right attraction, we have the right recruitment processes in place for this workforce. We acknowledge that we need to do more, particularly around talent pathways and particular succession planning. There's been some evidence to suggest some of our processes are a little bit clunky. So we've started to review them in a supportive way about removing duplication. But the big bit that I've recognised is that we really need to do more about the working environment that our administrative teams work within. So it's a bit of watch this space around how we can work collaboratively with our estates colleagues, individuals from NHIS, but more importantly, a chap called Richard Walker, who's our Chief Digital Information Officer, to ensure that our people have got the right equipment in the right environment to do a great job. So a bit of watch this space. The plan is that we're hopefully going to be able to launch some pop-up clinics where individuals can have a bit of an amnesty around equipment that might be a bit tired or a bit out of date, and start to put in place a replacement programme. And I'm working with a gentleman called Ben Widdowson, who's our Associate Director of Estates and Facilities, about making it a bit easier for our teams to get their environment with a new lick of paint, or if a tile needs replacing because the carpet's a bit tired. Because I think it's really important that we've got the basics right. So to leave you with some final remarks, I'm really keen to continue this commitment about the work that we're doing, but more importantly, finding an opportunity for our people, our administrative colleagues, to have the basics, because I recognise, or certainly what I've found since the summer, is that we don't always get that right, Dave. There's a bit of a commitment for me to continue that work, and I thought it'd be useful just to come along today and just talk about it.
Yeah, that's
so
really
pause
helpful.
there.
Really helpful update. Thank you, Rob. And I'm going to just try and encourage people to ask questions. So this is, if I've got this right, Rob, this is about making the working lives of better for our colleagues, and maybe strengthening the voice of our admin teams. But how do we get that voice heard?
So there's a number of ways we've been doing that, Dave. So I've personally led a variety of walkarounds across all of our sites and encourage colleagues to do so, whether that's fellow executives or whether that's individuals from the people function, or if it's just people I've connected with through this programme. We've created a bit of a ripple, which has been really positive. So it's keeping the momentum of that, because I'm conscious that we're all really busy people, and responding to emails or having chances to fill surveys out might not always be the priority of that day. So I've done that in a supportive way. Normally took some biscuits or a few goodies just to say, look, let's find a few moments to connect, which has been received well. The second bit is, I'm always open for being connected to personally. I'm in this week's blog. I've already had a few individuals reach out to me and say I'd like to get involved, or I've got some questions I'm not necessarily having the answer to, so can you help, Rob? And I want to continue that message. I'm here to help personally, but also the teams I lead are there to help as well. And we've got a variety of different colleagues connected for a variety of different forums underneath these programmes. And what we've tried to do is get a representative voice from divisions at all different grades, which is supporting some momentum.
That's great. And in the absence of questions coming in, I'm going to continue to keep asking the tricky ones. So I've got another one for you, Rob. So on that slide of achievements, right down at the bottom, it said robotic automation techniques. What's all that?
Yeah, what is all that, Dave? So thanks for that tricky question. I might look to you to respond, being the exec accountable for the digital agenda. But if I've got it correct, it's about how can we be more efficient with the resources that we've got available to us. So I'm conscious that the it's always invaluably important for us to embrace technology. If we look at where we've come as an organisation through the pandemic, we're now meeting together on Teams. Pre-pandemic, we would only have dreamt about that. So we need to embrace technology, and automation is a way of embracing technology, where tasks that might be considered as repetitive tasks, I sometimes describe them as £1 tasks. We may be able to automate. That would inevitably free up individuals to do £10 tasks, £100 tasks, or hopefully £1,000 tasks, where we can get more value for our money, and we can get our people to feel that they're contributing more in a more sustainable way. What it doesn't mean is, mass change. I think with any introduction of new technology, we need to do it in a staged way, where we see that collective voice from the success that it brings. We're also getting a bit of support from NHS England on this, because it's not just a Sherwood thing. It's a national kind of area of interest. And I know, Dave, something you're particularly keen on. This can complement a number of different additional digital initiatives that we've got underway at the moment.
Yeah, and technology is we need to view technology as an enabler, as a facilitator. Sometimes we're lucky and it may help to replace individual tasks, and sometimes it doesn't. It just enables us perhaps to do things in a slightly different way. But it's an interesting process to start to explore, and I think quite an exciting process, because, as you say, there are a number of aspects that we do that are very repetitive, that we could perhaps automate from that point of view. Okay, I'm still getting no questions, so I'll stop asking Rob difficult questions, because people clearly are fed up of all of that. Is there anything that anyone else on the panel wants to just finally sum up with? I've got a couple of things to close with, but I'm really impressed with Phil and his background, and and hoping that we'll all be getting a bit as one of those. But any summing up, Phil? Did you want to finish any of the sum up any of your thoughts?
I think just to build on something you said right at the beginning, Dave. It's so busy at the moment, and the pressure is relentless for all of you, whatever your role or responsibility. And without sounding cheesy, we genuinely do appreciate that and recognise how hard everybody's working, and it's likely to continue at this pace in this way for quite some time. So a massive thank you from me. Probably a reminder to look after yourselves and your colleagues as well, and when you do get downtime or time out of work, to make sure that you get the opportunity to look after yourselves. That's all I wanted to add, Dave, really. Yeah, and just conscious it's the first cold snap we've probably seen of the winter coming in over the past few days. Di, anything you want to finish on?
No, I think just echoing what Phil's just said, and also saying actually the strength of this achievement with Pathway to Excellence is even more precious, given that the last 2 years have been exceptionally challenging for staff. So again, thank you to everyone across the trust. Yeah, I echo that. Trevor, anything from you?
Cheeky last plug to ask people if they can spare a few minutes to celebrate and come down for a photo at 1 to the main entrance. That would be great. We're amazingly proud of you all. It's a huge achievement in relation to Pathway, and if you can be there, we'd love you to be. Phil and I will go off and do our hair almost immediately, Trevor. Don't
forget your lipstick.
Anna, anything final from you?
No, not particularly. Just obviously watch out for the blue lights on the front of the hospital on Thursday to mark the end of World Antibiotic Awareness Week.
And they call those lights the goal lights. I don't know if you know that. That's the builder term for them. The goal lights up there. We only have 3 colours. I have asked for all sorts of colours. So when we had Remembrance weekend. I asked if they could go red, but they can't go red. They can go pink. So we're all right for sort of breast awareness and those sort of things. But we can't go red. But we've just got 3 colours, so you have to pick your colours carefully. But there you go, goal lights. A sad fact that I have. Rob, anything final from you? And please mention staff survey.
So yeah, staff survey. So thanks for that intro, Dave. What I'll probably just share is what Phil touched on. It's really important that we support each and one another at the moment, recognising that I think, Dave, you've touched on probably the first cold kind of wave that we've had. Certainly temperatures have changed quite dramatically over the last week or so. So it's really important that we look out for each other. We're all incredibly busy at the moment, but taking time, to say thank you to our people, to our colleagues, will mean a lot. I describe them as random acts of kindness, whether that's making a coffee or just saying good morning. Don't underestimate it. It's really powerful, and they can sometimes be the difference of a good day and a bad day. So, it's important to be kind. You can never do enough of it, in my personal opinion. I would encourage you all just to consider that as we start to get into that busier time of the year. So thanks.
Yeah, no, echo all of that. So I've got 2 final ones. One, and someone will have to help me out with a date here, but I think it's 2 weeks until an important day in the Sherwood calendar, which is Christmas Jumper Day. So it's just giving people a bit of notice of that. I think it's the first week of December that we're doing that, the 6th of December. So it's just reminding everyone about that. I will be wearing a Christmas jumper, allegedly. Phil?
I'll be on holiday, Dave, sadly, but I'm sure I can wear one on a different day. That's not why I'm on holiday. But I just happen to be, but I'll wear one on another day. That's my commitment to it.
Rob?
I'll happily commit to it, Dave, but I'm also on holiday that day.
There's a theme here. Okay, I'm carrying the organisation on that day and wearing a Christmas jumper. Okay.
I'll wear one.
Thank you for the support. And then the other one, this is just a gentle ask. If we can just perhaps next time that the football is on, be that England or Wales, if perhaps we could not connect the ward devices to the corporate network, if we could perhaps use the free Wi-Fi, that would be better, and then we wouldn't see a massive slowing down of the corporate network, such that all of our essential patient systems go a bit slow. That would be really good. I recognise everyone was excited about certain events yesterday, but it's just bearing in mind that it has an impact when we have 5,000 devices connected to the NHIS Wi-Fi.
Need to avoid that own goal, Dave.
Yeah, but I think certainly, I don't know when the next Wales game is, but England are playing, I think, in the sort of late afternoon, early evening on Friday. So maybe we'll be on peak time there. So I'm going to bring it all to a close and say thank you. Thank you all for your help and support in discussing those topics. Rob, Phil, Trevor, Anna and Diane, and thank you all for listening, and have a good week, everyone.
Bye.